I always say that too, like the early days are some of the toughest, right? Like, there's a bunch of phases like 0 to 10 million is, just the initial sales and then get to 100 million is a whole nother phase. When I got to the company, we were selling mostly to like Silicon Valley startups. We were doing 18K deals, 12K deals. And I was like, we need to sell data and AI. And at the time it was largely like Spark and managed Spark. We need to go after the enterprise customers. That's where the big money is. That's where we can build kind of long-term value. And so I hired a bunch of like enterprise sellers. Our founders were like, well, they're not going to get what we're selling. And so I just hired a bunch of really experienced enterprise folks. And I said, go talk to everyone using Spark, find out what their challenges and issues are, find out what we can sell them. And that's a lot of how we, informed like our initial product and positioning and differentiation was just doing that. And, now we're obviously super strong in enterprise. Early days, that was definitely a bet that was, not right up the middle for sure.
The enterprise sellers are going to be expensive. The deal cycles are going to be long. Like you have a pretty narrow window to show that paying off unless you have a ton of conviction from your founders.
I think we went from less than 1 million to, 12 or 13 million the first year. Then we started tripling and tripling and tripling, right? And so that bet, you're right. I mean, for a lot of founders out there too, because I get calls about this all the time. Like, how do I start an enterprise team? Like everybody starts with PLG. They get a lot of tech startups that start using the product. And they're like, I want to get into enterprise, right? I want to get into the banks and the retailers and the big HLS companies because they know those companies are super sticky, but it's a different motion. So having the right, sales leader, the right sales playbook, all those things, and the patience, you're right. Those are going to be 3, 6, 12-month sales cycles. Ultimately, that creates definitely a more solid company when you're heavy enterprise because once they're on technology, they really adopt it and grow fast.
I was a, VC operating partner for a while. And when I worked with technical product founders, it was like they kind of just believe the best product won all the time. Like, hey, we've got the best tech. We just got to tell customers we got the best tech, show them the tech, and then sales will take care of itself. What did the founders maybe initially underestimate around enterprise buying behavior and what the role of sales even looked like?
Yeah, I mean, I see that everywhere. I mean, that was true at Databricks early days too. It was like, we have the best product and it's the least expensive. We get 100% of the market. That's why everybody's PLG, just swipe your credit card and away we go.
Agents, that's going to be the case, but not when procurement's involved necessarily.
As long as people buy from people, especially in enterprises, they have processes. It's not a clear-cut decision which product they should use. In many cases, early in a company, it's same as Databricks. It's not intuitively obvious how you get value out of the product. Like, it's a complex product. It's very technical. You open it up. It's not like I can immediately see how to use it. Just start typing questions. Now we've made it much simpler with Genie, where you can just type in a question. It starts to give you answers on your data. It starts to do research for you. But early days, like we had to actually teach people how to use it and how to get value out of it. And so to me, that's the real value of salespeople and enterprise salespeople is you have to teach your customers how to get value out of your product, how to differentiate your product, why your product's better than other products, because all software is going to have some kind of shortcomings. Those relationships to fix something or move faster on something, I mean, those relationships matter, I think, in sales, especially in enterprise sales.
Ron, how much did you have to alter or even invent the way that you paid and incentivized reps early on? Because you were one of the pioneers in this commitment and usage-based model. It's not like you're just selling SaaS seats and the rep gets a check from like 8% of whatever they sold. Like the usage has to be real. Like people have to consume the product. How did the commission and incentive structure evolve over time?
I do think we were early innovators in that. Old days, everybody just paid on committed contracts, right? We started there. Like a lot of our lands, we think early in the company, they're all new customers. But ultimately, you want people to consume your product. And if they consume it super fast, then you can get even bigger commits from customers. So we kind of flipped our whole comp plan. We did it in 2 cycles. One, we went kind of half and half commit and consumption. And then we went full consumption. We even do that today. We pay commits on kind of on top of consumption, but we're, 100% just driving consumption, which it's great because it also aligns your customer with your company incentives, right? The more we make them successful, the more commissions we pay out. We're a data science company too. We can predict pretty closely what every company's going to spend. So the other switch was, you used to say like, oh, you're experienced rep, you get a whatever, $2.5 million quota. Now every single quota we have is associated with an account, not a rep. When we're divvying out our billions of dollars of quota, it's on incremental spend. So it's all on growth of spend. And it's also specific to the account, depending on the situation of that account. So there's definitely a lot of math and innovation that's gone into how we do comp plans these days, for sure.
Do you find that it takes extra explaining to reps on how it works? Or are you recruiting for a type of rep that just fundamentally understands that I can't just sign somebody up to a massive commitment and kick it over the fence to customer success?
Early days, you definitely had to do a lot of selling and explaining because, you have reps, especially early in a company, they're like, hey, I want to make $1 million. Like, and I want to have as many $1 million earners as possible because they're going to be a great recruiting tool for me too, to bring in new reps. And you'd have to explain, like, you could still make $1 million with consumption. You just got to get them to consume a lot versus, last day of the year, you nail your $50 million deal and you get paid your big check. Here, you're having to go every single day to drive consumption to get that $1 million over time. But if you build the plan right, they're still making big money. I'm a salesperson, so, salespeople are like, well, I don't know. Now it seems definitely more well-known that, pretty much everybody, all the clouds are pure consumption. I think it's the only way to go. Again, it aligns all the incentives and aligns you towards growth, right? So early days, there were a lot of debates and I had to talk a lot of AEs off a cliff, how they could still make money with consumption, but it turned out true. So
one of the biggest pains for the reps is that initial lag. Like they sell a deal, they get a commitment, and then it takes a while for the customer to kind of get to their steady state consumption. They drag their feet. It's not their biggest priority. Like there's always something going on. Has there been anything that you found that can speed up that time?
we do a lot of pre-packages for lands. We kind of know this customer, kind of this size customer might start with 50K. Here's how we give them some extra services to get them started. We call them fast starts. This customer might be 100K for these many use cases. And it's really tied to just getting quick lands and quick wins. And we bundle in, like I said, some of these kind of services packages that are just going to get you up and running. And so, because you're not really trying to do the massive deal right off the gate. Some of the big enterprises, they might be like, hey, I want to transform my entire business with data and AI. I need a bunch of resources. Like you might want to do a big commit there. But in general, the idea is land with at least one use case, develop some champions. That'll continue to grow. And then you can come back in. What we saw is like land, prove success, develop champions. We'd go from 100K to $1 million in the first deal to tens of millions of dollars in commitment deals. And it's based on that repeated show of success and continue to expand that base. So I think that's probably my biggest advice is don't worry about the size of the land. Worry about getting a champion and a success win story on the board so you can get more of those. And bundle in some of these services to give them a head start.
When I looked to set up my first CRM at Growth Unhinged, I knew I wanted something that was actually AI first. The world has evolved. Most CRMs are still stuck in the 90s. I found Lightfield, the CRM that remembers everything and does the work for you. It joins all my sales calls, reads my emails, and has the full context on every account. At this point, Lightfield knows my deals better than I do. I haven't had to set up a single CRM dashboard. Instead, I simply ask Lightfield questions like, which deals in my pipeline are most likely to close, or who do I need to follow up with today? It even automatically prepares me for meetings with a personalized daily briefing, and setup was quick and surprisingly painless. Lightfield is my sales coach, RevOps analyst, therapist, EA, all in one. See Lightfield for yourself with a 14-day free trial. Connecting data from your inbox takes just 5 minutes, and you can migrate in under an hour. Go to lightfield.app, that's LIGHTFIELD.app, and use code MOSTLYGROWTH to get 3 months free.